What are the messages that you got from exploring Lyme disease that might help other people who are dealing with the same thing?
Yeah, thanks for asking that because I really came to believe that Lyme disease, any it's you can almost it's a bacteria obviously, but it's anything that the kind of infects your body and weakens you in some way. We'll kind of just kind of lump that all together as parasites. It's a parasite. It's parasitizing on your energetic field, on your physical field, on your life force and vitality. And I feel that there's occasionally a person that will get an infection and their biofield, their org field, is very intact. They have not much of a trauma history, or they've done their work. They get an infection and their immune system can mount a swift reaction, and they'll, with a little help, they'll be over it quickly. But for a lot of people, it becomes a chronic issue and it's really hard to kick it. And I think for those individuals, it's there was some sort of energetic breach for them early on. And I think, in terms of different qualities of traumas, there's a category where people have boundary violations, boundary violations that almost lead to energetic parasitism at an early age, where there's like their field. So talk about dissonance that can disrupt resonance with your blueprint. Our field is really only meant to have our energy in it. Our energy is nourishing to our system, but another person's energy is incredibly weakening. It's almost like our field is this beautiful score of orchestral music that is exquisitely complex but unique to us. And then all of a sudden, if someone else's energy enters our system, it's like the string section playing a different score of music. It just creates like incredible dissonance in the system, which is weakening to our unique sound. And so I think when there's that type of boundary violation early on, which can come in many different forms, but when there is that type of thing, it's like, sometimes the person almost becomes accustomed to the foreign energies in their system, and then the pathogens can kind of slide in on that pathway. And
Okay.
so, unless that is addressed, unless that's discovered, looked at, addressed, and healed, it's really hard to get the pathogens out.
Hmm.
Someone needs to stake claim, like completely stake claim, their autonomy, and really clear it out. Clear out anything that's not them, and seal it up. Like create the boundaries and actually declare, like, this pattern is over. This
Mhm.
is over.
Right. This is so fascinating. I mean, if you look at the symbolism, I mean, ticks are parasites. They pass
Yeah.
on a parasitic illness. I'm wondering, does this also then carry over to other parasitic type illnesses that the body might pick up along the way?
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. All of this is so symbolic, really. It never ceases to amaze me, when I'm working with patients. And so, like so I kind of went on this own journey, and then the clearing I did really kind of like helped me to even hone my intuition more while working with people. And then, kind of create a set of conditions, or the right encouragement, and hold the appropriate space for people to do their own process. um and like I said, this isn't always required, but like when someone has a really complex, kind of entrenched, multifactorial serious illness, you almost always have to be working on this deep level. But what I'll find is even like when people are staking claim, and kind of reclaiming their personal space and their body as a sovereign and sovereign space for them, oftentimes they'll clear all kinds of parasites. It gets, past worms in the stool or whatever. It's sometimes incredibly graphic.
Oh,
But that tends to, though, that kind of like clearing tends to have such profound ramifications, not only with their health, but with their life, because everything is symbolic. You've got, you may have parasitizing, microorganisms in your body, but you might have relationships that are zapping your energy. You might have a job that's doing that. You might have chosen things like a ridiculous commute to work that's not healthy for you, and things like that. And so, or that you might have settled for doing something that's really not your dharma, just thinking, well, like, who am I to be able to express my true gifts in the world, or some, who knows. But what I find is that the love, when they're doing this kind of staking claim, clearing what's not theirs, it reflects in their external life as well as with their physical health. It's really the most extraordinary thing to bear witness to with someone
yeah.
else.
Absolutely. And it also occurs to me that when you're dealing with something like this, it weakens you. So therefore, you just might not even have the strength to fight it, so to speak, to actually, start to build yourself back up, because as soon as you do, it knocks you back down because it wants you to stay down so it can continue to live off of your life force.
Yeah.
So how do you recommend people begin to again, using your own intuition, listening to your body? How do you begin to fight off this parasitic vibe that wants you to stay sick?
That's a really good question too, because a lot of times I'll say to someone, we're going to start by supporting your physical body, almost giving you a platform to work from. And you can do that with a practitioner, but you can do that on your own too. So you're absolutely right. Like, sometimes when someone is so sick, the idea of even contemplating doing this deep type of work is just too overwhelming. It's just not possible for them. So, you do need to break in sometimes at a little bit more superficial, but incredibly profound level. It's meaning like, start drinking good water, or, be start eating, the right kind of food for you, food that has a high life force quotient that's going to give you energy. Start standing on the ground with bare feet and kind of like pulling electrons up into your system.
Mhm.
Work on your sleep hygiene, things like that. So you can start to get like, a little bit of the life force back in, so that you have the energy to then, kind of dive into yourself. And I also do a lot of support, with the endocrine system, like look at someone's hormones and see if they have adrenal depletion. That's a nice place to break in, is kind of give them some supportive herbs or supplements and things so that they kind of have a little bit of a platform to get started.
Right, right. So baby steps initially until you have the strength to do more
Mhm.
powerful work.
Yeah, but being, even just becoming aware that there is an underlying
Mhm.
issue that's in their power to address, that could have, profound ramifications with their physical health, I think is really empowering. It's almost like this, instead of, this is happening to me and there's nothing I can do about it, I got to find the right person in my outside world to kind of fix me. You're really taking the power back and saying like, no, this is it, it's in my power to do the clearing work that's required to really unravel this.
Mhm. Right. Well, we've been sort of focusing on Lyme disease, but then let's move outward for people who don't have Lyme disease,
Yeah.
uh, but they might have serious issues, some sort of health challenges that they don't know where to begin. Again, using one's own intuition, how can we tap into that pristine blueprint and help it to express outward? What's some good first steps for this?
Develop a meditation practice. I think it's one of the most important things you can do. And a lot of times when people meditate, they're spending time out in the cosmos. They're just, it's almost like an out of body kind of, connection that they're seeking. And I really would like to encourage people to do a body centered meditation, because there's an infinite universe within us as well. And I think that, that saying, like, we're a soul, living in a body. We've chosen to incarnate right now for a reason, so really own this incarnation, really, really deeply ground into your physical form.
Mhm.
And, I think that that's absolutely critical. You need to be home, you know, in your being in order to figure out what feels good and what doesn't. So developing a practice where you're grounding every day, energetically, and you can just take imagining, the bulk of your energetic field grounding down into your physical form, rooting deeply into the earth, expanding out beyond the body, about 10 feet in diameter, like you're this luminous egg, but you're equally distributed above and below your physical form. That, allows you to fully inhabit the body. And then, develop a practice where you're sitting with yourself every day, and noticing what feels tense or tight, or like, you know where there's noise, and if you really tune in, you'll realize, maybe you were holding something from an interaction that happened yesterday, that triggered you because you had a third chakra wig out because of something really from your past. So if you can sit with that, and just tune in, and give it some time to communicate to you, then oftentimes it quiets down, and it clears. And, if you get to where you do this often enough, you can start doing it in real time, instead of like a day later realizing you were holding tension from something happened yesterday. You're going to be clearing it more like in the moment. And the more you do this kind of clearing, the more aware you'll become about every little thing you do, and how that's enhancing resonance with your blueprint or detracting. You know,
Mhm.
you might you might be able to pause a little bit before you eat something to even ask yourself, am I truly hungry right now, or am I not? Am I eating because I'm upset, or am I eating because I want to nourish my body? And then you could ask yourself, does my food look life giving? Does it have a high life force quotient? Is it full of nutrients? Is it going to be what my body's really asking for, or not? And, so it allows you to make these choices, and then that are more in keeping with what is good for you, and will enhance resonance with your blueprint. And then there'll be an opportunity just to stay on the food topic, afterwards, to then ask yourself, okay, how did that make me feel? Like, do I feel like it energized me? Did it weigh me down? Did it, like, enhance my ability to stay embodied and clear-headed and focused, or did it take away from that?
Mhm.
And then that can start expanding out to, how do I feel when I leave my Wi-Fi router on at night? Did I sleep better when I turned it off? You know, how do I feel after watching that television show? Would it have been better for me to instead, like, meditate, or read a book, or go on a walk, or, you know, and so I think that, just it's since this is really about becoming your own intuitive medical person, it's really, how can you do that if you're not home?
Right, right. Yeah,
Compound
really embodying, literally embodying your
in
body.
really.
Yeah, I want to rewind just a touch. You're talking about the types of foods that you're eating. And my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, is that cravings for really sugary foods, and I don't mean, once in a while having a cupcake or whatever, but where you just got to have your sweets, that is sort of feeding a parasitic vibe. Is that accurate?
Oftentimes, yeah. Oftentimes, if you've been eating a lot of sugar, it will promote the growth of yeast in your intestines, and the yeast starts to dictate your cravings. And so, occasionally, once you've kind of realized that that's the case, there's a little bit of white knuckling it while you just decide to deprive those critters of their food source. And, within a few days, it'll start to calm down and you'll have a lot more autonomy again to make your best decisions. But yeah, I know sometimes it takes a little willpower to kind of break that cycle.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Well, I mentioned earlier that you've got a video on your website that's bethmcdougallmd.com, and McDougall has two L's at the end. I really want to recommend that people watch this video because there's this gorgeous visual display of of the pristine blueprint where the body's in alignment, but then when there's dissonant energy, how things sort of get knocked off kilter. So again, I really recommend watching that, bethmcdougallmd.com. We're running low on time. I hate when this happens. There's so much left for us to talk about. What in particular do you think you want to make sure that we touch on before we wrap?
Just want people to leave with a couple points that we are so much more than we thought we were. When we really understand that we're part of this sea of almost infinite energy and information, that that's at our disposal. That's at our disposal. And so we have the ability to extract energy and information from the sea, and all we need to do is transmute or clear what's in the way. And this has the potential to have profound effects on our biology, on our physiology, our health, our rate of aging, and just how we're living.
Mhm.
And the other thing I want to people to leave with is this is in their control. This is in their control. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're exposed to, that that seem like they're out of our control. But I think that, once we're really clear, once we've done the work to clear out, what's influencing how we feel, what we feel we deserve, and kind of influencing the choices that we make in our lives, the people we decide to associate with, the work we decide to do, you know, um, every single choice, from the products we put on our face to, the products we clean our house with, to you name it. We can come to a place where we are making those choices from an alignment with our inner self and from a place of greater self-love.
Mhm. All right. Well, that was beautifully stated, and so much really fascinating information that you've shared today. I want to thank you, Dr. Beth, for being with us today. This has really been an enlightening conversation. Thank you for your time.
Oh, you're so welcome, Lisa. It was my pleasure.
Oh, mine as well. And I want to remind everyone I've been talking with Dr. Beth McDougall, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this conversation in the Intuitive Medicine Summit.